Good morning. It is Saturday, the 1st of February 2020. It is the first day of the Great Scale Model Train Show in Timonium in Maryland. Let's go see what we can find.
This is the Great Scale Model Train Show. The Great Scale Model Train Show is a large model and toy train show that happens 3 times a year at the Maryland State Fairgrounds in Timonium in Maryland, just outside the city limits of Baltimore. For that reason, it's often referred to as the Timonium Show. It takes place in the 3.5-acre Cow Palace, which is split into 3 halls. There's the North Hall, where there's a child play area and most of the layouts. There's the Center Hall, which has the main entrance, the concession stand, and a number of retail tables. And there's the South Hall, which has more retailers and a number of layouts, and a clinic area where various demonstrations are given throughout the weekend. The show is claimed to be the largest model train show in the Mid-Atlantic region, and I tend to believe it. A wide array of retailers are present, with all kinds of weird, wonderful, eclectic, and expected merchandise for sale. And often they come with some level of crazy show special type deal. Trains can be found in almost all scales, and you'll easily find train parts, scenery, supplies, and tools. There are enough books to fill a library, both new and old. There is a wide variety of used magazines for both model and real trains, including from the railroads themselves. You'll find t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, and other apparel for just about every active major railroad company and more than a few foreign flags. There are enough photos to fill an art gallery, maybe 2. There are DVDs to fill all of your days. the odd piece of railroad memorabilia like a lamp or real pieces of equipment, and many, many more items on which to spend your money. Some of the regular features of the show include a white elephant table where show guests can drop off items that they wish to sell with an asking price, and at the end of the weekend you come back and pick up either anything that hasn't sold or any money that you've made. There's also a door prize system which sees the show organization give away hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars in prizes to visitors, which can be used at any of the retail tables in the show. And that's not all. Upwards of 20 operating model railroads are present from all over the area, and between them most of the major scales are represented. HO scale is the dominating one, but you'll find examples in N, in S, in O, and in G, and occasionally even some Lego trains. The layouts themselves come from all across the region, with representation from Maryland, from West Virginia, from Pennsylvania, from Virginia, and probably others further north, further south, and maybe even further west. Getting to the show is pretty easy. The fairgrounds are just a couple of miles and really no more than about 3 turns from Interstate I-83 north of Baltimore. There is plenty of parking available, and attendants are usually available to direct traffic to any available parking spaces when the parking lot is at its busiest. There may be some walking involved if you arrive at the show's peak, so if you have a state-issued handicap or disability parking permit, then be sure to let one of the attendants know so they can direct you to the designated area a little bit closer to the door. As an alternative to driving, the Baltimore area light rail system has a stop on the rear side of the building. The light rail system also interchanges with Amtrak and MARC at Baltimore Penn Station, which allows for other connection options for anyone coming from a little bit further afield, like DC. As for refreshments, there is a concession stand on site, or there are plenty of restaurants within just 5 minutes drive of the main entrance. Entry prices are reasonable. Saturday fees are slightly higher than Sunday, but the ticket is good for unlimited re-entry to the show during the weekend. This allows people to leave for lunch and other refreshments, or just to return stuff to your car, as well as to return to the show on Sunday at no extra cost. The Timonium show has been one of my favorites to go to, partly because it's so big, partly because there are so many layouts, and especially because there are so many varieties of different people and retailers to look at. It's one of those shows that just buzzes. Everyone is happy to be there. Everyone seems to be having a good time. I love that there are so many layouts to look at and get ideas from, both in terms of trains and scenery and running styles. This is one of those great shows to just go to and look around. You'll almost always find something that takes your fancy, something that is interesting and affordable. If you live anywhere close by, I would recommend you look them up. gsmts.com. That's the Great Scale Model Train Show. They do publish their schedule on their website, so you can see when the upcoming show dates are. There are, for 2020, there is this one just passed in February. There's another one at the beginning of May, and there will be a third one in October. Now, I could talk about this show for days, but I know most of you are here to see the train, so I will let you do that. I will sneak in here that there is a brief bonus segment at the end of this video, so if you aren't interested in seeing trains run around, maybe skip a little closer to the end and find it. Thanks for watching.
This was back in 2013. Now they go 220. Yeah, it doesn't feel like the moving is so smooth.
Did it get to a point where you and I were adjusted to, you could actually pick things up?
Yeah, when you focus on objects that are far away from the tracks, the optical region is slower.
You finish the rest and switch going into the road.
Keep it going that fast.
Ladies and gentlemen, starting in just about 5 minutes of the South Hall all the way in the back is our next free clinic. This one.
Very cool. Thank you.
Okay, so that was the Great Scale Model Train Show here at the Maryland State Fairgrounds. I'm going to show you really quickly what I got. From Yankee Dabbler, they had a good deal on these rivet counter tank cars. I got 2 of those for 70 bucks. And I also picked up an operator tank car for 25. I've been wanting some modern tank cars for a while, and these are about perfect. Now, I really don't feel like driving home, so we're just going to try this. And here I am. Have a good one. We'll do it again next week.
So I mentioned in the main video that light rail access is available to the train show. What I didn't mention is that a portion of the light rail route is formed by a track that can date itself back to the early 19th century. The original plan for this weekend was to visit the show with my friend Ethan, who runs an Instagram feed called Accidental History. And I planned to share this with him. Unfortunately, plans fell through and we couldn't make the trip together this time. In 1828, the Baltimore and Susquehanna Railroad was chartered, and it began construction the following year. It quickly reached Cockeysville, Maryland, just north of Timonium. In 1854, the Baltimore and Susquehanna, along with several other companies, were reorganized into the Northern Central Railway. The lines from Baltimore would eventually reach Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and be declared complete in about 1858. The line itself survived the Civil War and carried President Lincoln to Gettysburg in 1863, where he gave the famous Gettysburg Address. And 2 years later, it would also carry his funeral train as it returned his body to Illinois. Now, in 1861, the Pennsylvania Railroad acquired a controlling share in the Northern Central Railway. The Penn C and its successors, Penn Central and later Conrail, would operate the Northern Central as a subsidiary until 1972, when Hurricane Agnes caused significant damage to the line. In the 1980s, parts of the track around Baltimore were rebuilt as part of Light Rail Link, the Baltimore light rail system. In the early years, there were still some freight customers on the line, which were served by Norfolk Southern overnight. This service ended in 2005, and only the light rail service uses the lines today. But the Cockeysville station remains, ironically just down the road from the former showrooms of MB Klein's or modeltrainstuff.com. For all the visits I had made to the store, I had not driven a little further down the road to notice the building sitting on Railroad Avenue, with rails still visible in parts of the ground. To the south, the old rails remain in places. Eventually they join the light rail line. To the north, there is now a multi-purpose trail which allows for recreational users to get as far as York, Pennsylvania. So that is a very brief history of the Northern Central Railway, which left Baltimore heading north and today is used by RailLink. If you want more historical tidbits on things like the Northern Central Railway, let me know. I'll see what I can find.